Welcome to the Bad Girls on Business, the podcast that makes business more fun so you want to do more of it. Here are your hostesses with the mostesses, Jenny Bellinger, Virginia Muskies, and Michelle Nedelec.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Bad Girls on Business, bringing you a whole lot of business savvy with a little bit of sass. We do remind you that this podcast is safe, sane, and consensual, and all of our guests are podcasting on purpose. Today, we are so excited to introduce all of you to my friend, a visionary leader who has really changed my life. By the way, I'm Virginia Muskies, your host. This is Jenny Bellinger. Say hi, Jenny.
Hey, everybody. You know me. I'm your direct sales Dom.
And Michelle Nedelec is with us today as well. Hey, Michelle.
Hello, I'm your mistress in business, helping you get it up and keep it up. Michelle Nedelec.
Awesome. And as I said, we are here with my friend, my mentor, my astral guide, Anjel B. Hartwell. Anjel is the founder and lead visionary of Creative Age Consulting Group. She is a wealthy life mentor, and she is internationally known as a speaker, transformation artist, a Be the Change Movement to Watch winner, and one of America's premier experts. She is the creator of Apple Top 50 ranked Men on Purpose podcast, which she just sold, and that got me hot and bothered. I want to know all about that. She's also the creator, executive producer, and host of the 2020 People's Choice Award winning Apple #1 internationally ranked Wickedly Smart Women, which I just got to be on. So I'm super excited because we just recorded my episode. And she is hired to consult with high achieving leaders who are called to be on the vanguard of the creative age. So welcome, beautiful, lovely, star-struck, star-informed Anjel B. Hartwell.
Thank you, darling. I am so excited to be here. And one of my secret monikers is the Empress of Excitement. So I'm really delighted to be here with you three lovely ladies. You are hot and bothered, all three of you. And I am really looking forward to seeing where we're going to go with today's show. I do want to mention that Jenny was also on the Wickedly Smart Women podcast. So I've had both Jenny and Virginia. So Michelle, you are definitely invited to apply to be a guest as well, because
Michelle,
I think you're going to be
you're
fabulous. You're up next. Yeah.
Trust me.
Angel's flinging open the doors to the dungeon. Walk right in. So
yes, but I'm choosy. Choosy mothers choose Jeff, Virginia. I'm really choosy. I don't let anybody get on my show. So Michelle has already demonstrated that she is worthy.
Yeah, she puts up with me on a regular basis. You know, anybody who can do that deserves to be on your show.
Exactly.
Yes, for sure. And I do have to say, up until recently, Michelle was one of my top downloaded episodes.
She was on top.
She was on top. And she, you know, you're still in the top 3, just so you know, Michelle, you're still in the top 3. People, like, they share that one with their friends. They go, oh my God, you've got to listen to this one. She's hilarious.
Well, and Jenny, you're still the #1 most downloaded podcast on the Business by Referral podcast. And I have yet to apply to your show. I'm your best friend. I'm like, I'm like all things Jenny. I'm all up in Jenny, and I'm not on her podcast. I got to get that fixed pretty darn quick. So Anjel, just checking in. We do want to confirm you are naughty and nice with a sprinkle of kink. So we are going to go pretty uncensored. We do have a safe word. We have borrowed the safe word from Jenny Bellinger's Badass Direct Sales Mastery. So Jenny, would you like to tell Anjel what her safe word is?
Yeah, just in case we go a little too far for you, Anjel, you want to make sure that you say meatloaf. Okay, meatloaf, because I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. So just if we hear meatloaf, we will edit it out. We won't, nobody else will ever know, but we'll know what your boundaries are.
Will you love me forever?
Always.
The feeling's hitting me like a
Can I
tidal
sleep
wave,
on it?
Anjel.
Can I sleep on it? Will you love me forever? Can I sleep on it?
All right.
Gotcha.
So, Anjel, let's just start here with my #1 curiosity. You sold a podcast.
I did.
I have never in all my born days, not that my days since I was born in the podcasting world have been long. I'm still I'm a podcast toddler. But tell us about that. Tell us about, Men on Purpose, how you sold it. How'd you find a buyer? Who would buy it? Why would they buy it? You don't have to tell us how much, but
yeah.
I just like the name.
Yeah, Meatloaf on how much. Yeah. Okay, great. So I want to actually spiral back a little bit, Virginia, because I got started with virtual speaking in 2008. And before that, I was in the real estate business. So I've been selling shit for my whole life. I sold 763 boxes of Girl Scout cookies when I was 9. The other girls sold 28. So selling.
Yet another thing we have in common, my dear.
763 boxes? Really?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but it was in the multi-hundreds pushing towards 1,000. Yes.
There we go. And
I love selling Girl Scout cookies.
Freudian slip on hundreds of husbands. Water cookies.
Yeah,
that was another lifetime. Yeah. So I got started virtual speaking after, a 20-year career in real estate. And then I had a spiritual awakening, and I spent 5 years exploring all of the naughty and the kinky and the other places and spaces in my life that had been repressed, suppressed, and depressed. And I got started virtual speaking in 2008 and have since then been heard by millions of people around the world, and had clients from all around the world, and have generated multiple millions of dollars from home, mostly in my pajamas, sometimes in my yoga pants, and in the summertime in my bikini on the back deck. So in 2017, I went to Steve Olsher's first New Media Summit. And at that New Media Summit, where I met Jenny and where you and I reconnected again as well, Virginia, I got inspired to start a podcast because I had gone through a business meltdown, like nuclear meltdown, a life nuclear meltdown, and had just gone through a process of rebranding. And the upstairs team said, "You're supposed to be serving men now." And I had been up until then mostly serving women, helping them feel great speaking and powerful asking for money. So I was like, great, I'm serving men now. So I always say yes when the upstairs team gives me a calling. And it became clear that starting a podcast would be a great idea for the particular market segment that I was being called to serve, which was executive men. And so I started the show out of the New Media Summit, and within 5 weeks, it was ranked in the top 200. And within 4 months, I had my first 5-figure payday from that show. And then I decided to launch the second podcast in 2019, Wickedly Smart Women. And I had my first 5-figure payday from Wickedly Smart Women before it even launched, and was number 75 within 4 days of launching with that show. So I seem to have some special magic. I have no idea exactly what it is, other than, I'm naughty, nice, and a little sprinkle of kink. But what happened was, after I got done launching Wickedly Smart Women, and Jenny was I think episode 2. Yeah, by December. So I launched that in September. By December, I was like, oh, I've done it again to myself. I have over committed. And I have, given myself too many things to do. I've tied myself up in my to-do list, which is not exactly fun.
Those task handcuffs.
Yes, I've tied myself up in my to-do list, and here I am, wriggling to get out. And so I made the decision in December that I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to put Men on Purpose on hiatus, because even though I was attracting men clients, I actually had more women clients knocking on my back door when I was doing the Men on Purpose podcast than I was having men clients knocking on my front door.
She gets off the bed, so the guy gets on the bed. Kind of
I had made the decision to put it on hiatus, and I always have a bank. So my bank of podcasts, I had 12 or more weeks of podcasts in the bank. And I had enough to get me through the end of March, beginning of April. And I went to the New Media Summit again. New Media Summit is a breeding ground. It's a breeding ground for all kinds of interesting things.
Ain't that true? I won't name names. Moving right along.
I call Steve Olsher and Doug Sandler, and Steve and Doug are my baby daddies, and Lou Diamond. They're the baby daddies for my first podcast, and baby daddies, obviously, because they, inspired me for my second podcast. So anyway, I'm at the New Media Summit, and there's a guy there at the New Media Summit who was
They are truly orgasmic.
an icon of influence, but who was also a paid host on somebody else's show. So he didn't own the show that he was the host on. He was a paid host. And he had been selected to be an icon. And I had already had in my head, I'm putting my Men on Purpose on hiatus. And I was at a place in my journey where I was still pulling myself out financially from the nuclear meltdown from a few years before. And we were at the post-event mastermind, and everybody was like putting their lifting up our dresses and showing our stained panties and all of the things, right? Putting our shit on the table and saying, oh, this is my shit. What do you got for shit? And my shit was like, I'm still like digging myself out of this financial meltdown that happened in 2016-17 timeframe as a result of personal family meltdown and a bunch of other things. And so I put my shit out on the table. I lifted my skirt and showed my stinky panties. And then he put his shit on the table, which was like, oh my God, I just want to have my own thing. I just want to help men. And all of a sudden the idea just came floating in from the divine. I love it when ideas come floating in from the divine, don't you, ladies?
Divine sex. It's all good, man. It is how we have.
So good.
It is how we intercourse with the divine.
And it makes me want to grab my boobies when a really good one comes in. I'm like, oh yes, that's such a good idea. Right. So this idea came in from out of the blue. I wonder if he would like to buy my podcast. And
Had you ever heard of anyone else selling their podcast? Like you knew this was done, or you were just like, huh?
No, I just when the
podcast, wonder how much he'll give me.
Virginia, when the upstairs team sends me an idea,
Things that are valuable,
it makes me want to grab my boobies. I do not research. I just go for it. I don't do research. I'm just like, hey, I just had this idea. What do you think? And he was like, oh my God, you're the answer to my prayer.
El Salvador.
Because here's what I know about the calling. I'm going to put my woo hat on here.
I love your woo hat. That is you know what? I got to tell Jenny and Michelle, I got to tell you, Anjel is one of the very few people who can say one sentence and I am soul naked. I'm like, what? Okay. You listen to any podcast I do with Anjel and it's like, okay. What? Okay.
I'm your spirit dom.
You
I'm your spirit dom.
You are my spirit dom. She's like, I want to know your dirtiest, most inner thoughts. And I'm like, okay. Nobody else does. I'm telling you, girl, you're scary. Right.
Well, so here's my woo hat. Here's what I know about when I get these like booby grabbing. Okay. Like they have to be like, I have to feel like the full body orgasmic booby grabbing with the idea. If it's not that kind of an idea, then, that's like a take it or leave it kind of thing. But when I get the full body booby grabbing, like, oh my God idea, here's what I know about it. It's a calling on my heart to make some kind of a contribution that I am capable of making. And at the same time, it is the prayer of the person who is deeply, maybe even desperately in desire for that contribution I can make. And so in this case, he was deeply in desire to have his own thing that was serving men and purposeful. And I have the Men on Purpose podcast. Ding, 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 ding. This is like, perfect match. Bing, bing, bing.
So as you're going through that process, I mean, I can only imagine like all the technicalities that go along with that. Like, did he get all your downloads? He got all the previous episodes. Like, how do you transition from a female host of Men on Purpose to a male host of Men on Purpose? Like all that fun stuff, right?
Yeah. So here's the cool part about that whole experience is here's the cool thing about that whole experience is number one, I said yes. He said yes. Then we went into a process of negotiation, and I've actually distilled, Jenny, but we don't have time for it today, but I've actually distilled the 7 things that he was looking for. Like there were very specific things that he was looking for that made my show of value to him, not the least of which was the name, right? So that's one of the 7 things. We're not going to go into the whole thing today, but I actually have distilled what was required for this to be something that was of value for him to want to pay for. So step 1 was we went through a process of negotiating the deal, right? And so that was, new territory. We were both engaged in this new territory. I mean, I did have some support from friends of mine, colleagues of mine. I had some support from an attorney friend of mine who had a template. I had some support from a coach friend of mine who asked me some questions that I hadn't even thought about. I had some more support from another coach friend of mine who was an attorney as well, who asked me other questions I hadn't thought about. So there was this whole process of negotiating the deal. And then there was the process of the transfer, which I tracked the entire process. So I actually have content that I could turn into a sellable item of how to sell your podcast and all the things that go into the process of selling. People could hire me. And I also got the URL podcastbrokerage.com because I used to be in real estate and I know the value of real estate.
Nice.
And we'll see if that ever turns into something, but I have the content of how the whole thing worked and, what the guy was looking for. And I have the podcast brokerage URL. And so.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, what I love about that, Angel, sometimes I do that too. Like, I think the other day in my head, Reciprocity Revolution, I was like, shit, that's really good. And I went and bought it. And then I'm like, trademark it, right? Like, just go out and just do it.
Yeah, I don't trademark everything. But I definitely buy the real estate.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely go out and just like get all the stuff done because I feel like if it's an idea, even if maybe I'm not ever going to want it, but the minute you buy it, then then people do want it.
It's IP. It's intellectual property. It's IP. Property has value.
Yeah. It's pretty, to me, it's really amazing. What like the value of a digital asset. It's not even a thing. It's not a pen. It's not a book. It's not a phone. It's an idea. It's and how we're moving through this very interesting age where things that aren't things are actually valuable things. Michelle, say something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
for me, like that plays into like the whole Bitcoin thing. Like you can't touch a Bitcoin, you can't touch cryptocurrency, you can't do whatever, and yet it has value. I mean, there's a country in I think Ecuador just made it an actual currency that you're allowed to use in their country. El Salvador, that's what it was. I knew it was somewhere Central South America area, and so these things that you can't touch, these intangible digital things now have value. And it's so interesting to see that happen.
Well, you know what I love about the fact that we are actually beginning to shift into a mindset of the intangible has value. That for me has so much juice in it because there have been centuries and maybe even millennia where the intangible has been hidden. And that includes the value of a woman and her emotional labor as a, mother, or the value of, the ability to connect with source and spirit and be depending on your intuition to guide you in the direction that is of highest benefit to you, which is not seeable.
Right.
And so for many years, I've had my own struggles as a messenger, and the people that I work with around the world have often had struggle as the messengers that they are in being able to not only articulate and communicate the value of what they have to offer when it's a transformational process that literally takes somebody from one identity to another identity, and to be able to know that we as a a whole, a society, a culture are beginning to value the intangible, that's heartening for me. That's a sign we're headed in the right direction. And it gives us greater latitude to be able to say, well, of course, working with me to help you to get from, repressed, suppressed, and depressed and insecure and unconfident and unclear about who you are as a messenger into this new identity as an empowered messenger who shows up on stage, whether it's virtual or live, clear, confident, and capable of commanding cash flow from the marketplace. That's a big, powerful thing as far as I'm concerned.
That was a lot of alliteration. Really got me stirred. It got me stirred. Angel, Michelle, you're about to say something.
Well, it reminds me of an ad that I saw in the 80s that I thought was spectacular. And it was super simple. It was success then, success now. Success then was going to the opera with the big hair and the tiaras and the gold and the diamonds and it was all about results and who am I showing my results to? And then the new success was a couple on a mountain in a meadow overlooking the valley it was just spectacular. And you're like, and it just said everything. It was like all of those intangibles. It's not about showing my friends what I've got. It's about those intangibles. And I think that our vocabulary is starting to connect with it, but it's still going back to, okay, now that you feel more comfortable, how much money you're making on stage. And it's like, okay, but that's not what I bought. What I bought is how I feel about me and being able to wake up in the morning and feeling great and going out and doing my thing and having fun doing it. And it doesn't, as long as it gets me a weekend in the mountains with my loved one, hey, life is grand. And I'm rocking life right now because I don't have to worry about all the shit that I worried about in corporate life or whatever the case might be. So I think too, that the big indicators like you're doing is putting this on a platform and saying, hey, this is what people are really looking for, even though they don't have the words to articulate it yet. And when you can nail that.
And I also think, Michelle, what you're bringing to the table is, I think what we're here to do is actually make sex happen, right?
Amen.
We're here to make sex happen.
Like we're not talking about growth. We're not talking about growth.
Don't have to have a baby just because you like sex.
Anyway, moving right along. So, but
we want money and meaning. We want both. We want money and meaning. And what we each individually can define is what I am now calling minimum to thrive. Right. And Michelle, your minimum to thrive may be a weekend every month in the mountains. Right. My minimum to thrive is I got to get outside all summer long. And so I got to structure my life and my business model and my revenue generation strategy to be able to serve my life, because my business has to thrive. My life has to thrive. When both of those are thriving, then I can't help but show up in the world as a powerful, impactful, meaningful being who is contributing positivity to the world, because I'm thriving and I'm grabbing my boobies on that,
Well, I also think you just said something, and I must have learned it from you, because it's really on mission for me. Is I remember somebody said, wow, I could work with you, give me X amount of money, and I can make you $1 million speak to sell success. And my question was, I looked at the work because they were working with somebody else, and I looked at the work and I said, how much did she keep? Mm-hmm. And the answer was, what do you mean? And I said, how much did she keep after she paid for the travel and the hotel and the rooms and the JV partners and like after she did all that. And as I watched, and I think it's particular for women, I watched her do it. And then I started watching her turning green, and I was like adrenal failure, like that, that aura, that like really sort of olive drab that starts to happen when you're burning the candle at both ends with a wick through your belly button. And I watched it and I said, how much? And then I asked her, how much did you keep? And she was like, like $250,000. I was like, well, hell, I could make $250,000 sitting on my ass talking to people on Zoom. I don't need to do all that, like I've done that. Mm-hmm. That's not like, so you have to start thinking about, if I wanted to do a year or two like that, not for the money, but because I wanted the knowledge and the experience of booking events, and right, because I wanted that and it made me happy. Go for it, because it's about the experience and then the payout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to make money, because if you're going in the hole doing it, well, that's just stupid. But if you can pay your bills and have an experience and turn back and be like, I had that experience, that was really cool. Now I'm going to buy an RV and I'm going to travel all over the US.
One of my clients is doing that right now. She bought an RV and she's traveling all over the US. And how is she doing that? Because she learned how to set up her life in a way that works. And she learned how to, value herself appropriately. And she learned how to communicate that value appropriately. And so she's doing exactly that. And one of the things I like to say, my latest thing that's coming out of my mouth is, don't be seduced by the culture of busy. Do not be seduced by the culture of busy.
Amen to that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that I was meant to be here today to hear that. Oh gosh, I love that. And so in all of this, I mean, the culture of busy and valuing our worth and confidence and all of these things come together in so many different ways when you're working with people. For someone who hasn't yet had the opportunity to work with you, talk with you, whatever, what's one of the things that you have to offer that where they can check out some of where they can learn about these things?
Hey, well, they can certainly check out my new book, which is number one new release in 3 categories.
Like
it's called Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny, the Creative Age Leader's Guide to Speak, Sell, Serve, and Succeed. And it really is the chronicle of my journey, Jenny, from a newly divorced mom, my second divorce from my second husband, whose kid was facing puberty, who suddenly got the call to speak. And I realized that I could not spend 260 out of 365 days on the a year on the road. And so thankfully, the technology angels have provided for me since 2008 to be able to literally be heard by millions and live my own destiny. And so I teach people in that book both about my own journey as well as the journey of my clients. And I teach them my Be Heard by Millions solution, which is the 7 steps that I took to be heard by millions and live my destiny, and to be able to be bountiful in my bikini too.
Oh gosh, that's my new hashtag goals, bountiful in a bikini.
Or if there are men listening to this show, which I highly recommend, that if you're a very wise man, you're going to be turning into this show, to be making bank in your boxers.
Oh, that's so good. Wait, we got to think of, no, because boxers are great and all, but Speedos are so fun. We got to come up with one for Speedos.
6 figures in your Speedos.
Oh, I like it.
Cash in from your couch. There's lots of ways you can prosper in your PJs.
Prosper in your PJs. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I actually had that URL at one point when I had that piece of real estate at one point, but I offloaded it. So yeah, you can find out more about me there. You can also certainly tune into the show, Wickedly Smart Women podcast, and you can go to wickedlysmartwomen.com to download and binge listen to all the episodes. Jenny was episode 2. Virginia's episode, I think, is coming out during the month of our 2nd anniversary. And Michelle, you'll be sometime probably 2022 if you don't get your butt on my application form soon. Yeah, so that's where you can find me. And the book is available on Amazon, on Kindle and paperback. And you can certainly also catch me at thewealthylifementor.com.
I love it. So Anjel, before I ask you our sassy questions, really quick, can you give our listeners just maybe 3 tips for boosting their confidence in speaking and getting gigs? What are some of the things that people just really need to think about? Because if they don't think about these things, they're actually going down the wrong path.
Well, number 1, you want to be prepped to present. And what does that mean? Well, you want to have a solid, clear idea of how much revenue you want to generate. You want to have a solid, clear idea of your business model. You want to have a solid
We are
clear
sad.
idea of a transformational offer, preferably a 5-figure payday offer. That's what I help people to get clear on. What's your 5-figure payday value so that you can make an offer and on the spot, on the phone, which I did just before this interview, turn somebody into a 5-figure client, right? Let's get you to your 5-figure payday value. So you want to be able to then leverage every moment that you're on stage to be speaking to your perfect prospects and audiences. So my perfect prospects and audiences are people who are possibly plateaued, or they're deeply called to serve and to speak as a thought leader, as an innovator, as somebody who's bringing a higher level of consciousness to the planet or to their industry. And they really want to distill their 5-figure payday offer, and they're willing and capable of investing at least 5 figures to work with me. It's a minimum of $12,000 to work with me. So if you're not in that category, you're not a fit. You're not a fit to work with me. So being able to be that specific, that precise, and that clear in your communications is going to repel the people that are not a fit and attract the people that are a fit. And then finally, the final thing you want to do to be prepared to present is be very clear about your messaging. And that includes, if you're going to have a podcast, that the messaging and the theme of the podcast is in service to cultivating an audience of perfect prospects for your transformational offer that is going to be served through your business model, that is going to give you the revenue that you require in order to thrive. Pretty simple.
Well, that was juicy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds perfectly simple. I know exactly what to do with that, Angel. Now I'm good to go. Just I
just go to get your 16-digit card and have a consultation with me, Jenny, and we'll go deeper.
Right?
We'll go
like
deeper and wider, and we'll have a long leisurely afternoon together.
I like that
I
idea.
think, hey, Angel, can you help me with this? She's like, sure. What's your credit card number? This lady has no problem saying like, I'm delighted to help you. I need your digits.
Yeah. And no is a power tool in our toolbox, ladies.
It sure is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I do have to tell you, one of the greatest things I ever learned from Virginia was how to say no. Unfortunately, it also meant that she was the first person I said it to. And she said, oh, damn it. Why did I teach you that? You weren't supposed to use
Jenny,
it on me.
A good no makes me want to grab my boobies. I had a really good no yesterday, and I was like, yes, I'm so glad you said no, because at least what I know happens when somebody can say no is that they have got clarity.
Yeah.
They've gotten to the clarity. Yeah, no, it's not a fit for me. I'd much rather have a clear no than oh, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
God.
I don't want to. I'm still thinking about it.
And the other thing, it's really funny because Jenny did say no. And I'm a very strong personality. And so I tell my clients all the time, and I tell the people that work with me, I'm like, if it's a clear no, you better tell girlfriend clearly no, because I will scrape my mashed potatoes on your plate. Just keep, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to do this. And you're like, okay. And I'm like, if you're going to practice this, practice it on someone that I promise 2 things to the people that work with me. 1, I understand your no means no. I'm not going. And if your no means we're not a good fit, well, so be it. Then we'll be friends. And I also will give you a yes, unless there's a good reason not to give you a yes. And then it'll be no, but you'll understand why. Right. So when I have a client or I have a vendor that's like, can't do it, not going to happen, I'm grateful for it, because I don't know. I'm like a guinea hen, guinea hens, they have no homing beacon. They just like they just get on it and keep running. I have no stop button. So unless you put a roadblock up.
You know what the no does? The no indicates to me that person is engaging in self-care. And I want to celebrate that, especially if we're talking about service providers, Virginia, that's another whole conversation for another day as business owners to talk about service providers. I mean, in this context, we're talking about people who are knowing that they're not the right fit as clients, but anybody who can solidly say no, And if we are in self-care, we know when we're a no, because we know that if we said yes, we wouldn't be able to show up wholeheartedly. We wouldn't be able to serve at our highest and best. So I actually say no a lot to any phone conversations with anybody who's not a fit for me. Like, I'm not going to say yes to you if you apply and you say I'm a wishy-washy decision maker. Well, swipe left. If you are somebody who can make a solid, quick, swift decision, and you're ready to invest in yourself, and you know that it's the right best next step for you to make an investment in yourself, then let's talk and see if I like you, because I am choosing, I am not chasing.
Oh God, I love that so much. And I had a lot of people when I came out with my podcast, The Badass Direct Sales Mastery, 2 years ago, as the direct sales dom, people asking me, "Ooh, are you sure you want to do that?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yes." Because anybody who can't even listen to a podcast that no one else knows you're listening to, right? No one knows you're listening to this, right? So there's no judgment of other people going, "Oh my God, you listen to that?" It's not like it gets broadcast anywhere. If they look at my cover art, if they see the name of the podcast and go, as I call it, clutch their pearls and go, "Oh, I could never." Well, then we're not a client, we're not a fit. And I'm okay with that. I want the people who look at that and go, "Oh my God, yeah, I got to listen to this shit. This is my bitch." Like, that's my thing. Like, being able to, because I know anybody who can like snort laugh at my cover art and go, "This is awesome." That's going to be so much a better fit, because they're going to listen to it and they're going to laugh at my stupid jokes that are kink related or not, And so helping to explain that to people, they were like, "Oh my God, but you're okay with chasing people away?" Yes. There's 20 million Americans in direct sales. I cannot serve 20 million people. No. So I don't.
Nor do you want to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to. I have kids. I've got a life that I want to live.
You want to go have some kinky fun.
Exactly. Exactly.
You are not seduced by the culture.
You gotta admit, ladies, though, sometimes you gotta kiss a couple of frogs to find the princes, and you gotta, you start getting used to what you like the feel of and what you don't.
Yeah, none of you can actually see what's going on this video right now, and that might be a good thing. All right,
we should sell the backstage to this video.
Well, I know. We're gonna start giving people, like, this is why you want to join the Six Figure Success Alliance, people, because you get backstage passes to this shit show. It's great. All right, so Angel is stripping for us now. Angel. All right. This is our round. This is our rapid fire round of decision making. Ready? Marketing, domination, or seduction?
Seduction.
Amen, sister. Networking, exhibitionist, or voyeur?
Exhibitionist.
Yeah, I already knew that. Oh, the first time you changed your name, I was like, well, that's not her name, but that's her. All right. Leadership, lady dom, or power sub?
I switch back and forth. I'm a switch hitter girl. Sometimes I'm a lady dom, and sometimes I'm the dominant sub, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, I'm a switch hitter on that.
We definitely need to get Paulina Tenner on Wickedly Smart Women. Just saying.
Yeah,
I'm a shapeshifter. I'm a shapeshifter for sure.
All right, so
I will lead with whatever is required in order to make the deal.
All right, team. When you think about a team, married or mistress?
Married.
Married. All right. Entrepreneurship, monogamy or polyamory?
Oh, poly
all the way.
All the way.
Figured out so. All right, so we're going to do some really quick takeaways. Miss Michelle Nedelec, a couple of takeaways from today's conversation with the lovely Anjel B. Hartwell. What you got?
Oh my God, that was fantastic, awesome, and amazing. And of course, I totally want to know what those steps are to creating podcasts that become sellable, because obviously it's not just podcasts, it's everything. Finding out people's motivational buyers, hidden and otherwise.
I like that. Yum. I know. I want a 5-figure payday on my podcast. Woo. Jenny B.
Yeah, I'd have to say the biggest takeaway is the don't be seduced by the culture of busy. Oh, yes, that is speaking to my inner core right now. So, yeah.
Are you doing kegels over there, Jenny?
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. On my bouncy yoga ball chair here.
On my yoga ball too.
Once again, we need to sell the back end of this video.
All right, people, backstage pass all the way. Angel, I think really what I heard you say here was be true to yourself. Just listen to your intuition, make your no, make your yes. And when all else fails, consult the boobies, because consult the boobies. They will tell you. It really is consult the body, right? Your body knows. And if you listen to your body and you really get there, that's a really great thing. So how can folks get a hold of you, my dear? So tell us one more time how people can get a hold of the beautiful Anjel B. Hartwell.
Yeah, just go to wealthylifementor.com and you can take my quiz, the Wealthy Life Readiness Quiz. You can also, just listen to the podcast. There's all kinds of little buttons that you can push at the top. And, some of those buttons might get erect.
You might get a thrill.
You might get a thrill from pushing those buttons.
And you might get a thrill. I think we need to leave it right there. Jenny, why don't you take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Anjel, thank you so much for being here, sharing your amazing intuition wisdom with us and our audience. We so appreciate that. And you guys know how this goes. As long as you're not driving, grab your phone, click on today's episode, scroll up just a little bit, and that's where you're going to find our show notes for today with all of the contact information for Anjel B. Hartwell, including those links she just mentioned. We are so glad to have you guys here listening to us each and every week. So make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the Bad Girls on Business. And go check out badgirlsonbusiness.com because we have a fun little Easter egg there with you for you so that you can go get a gift from Virginia, Michelle, and or myself. So go check that out. So that way, badgirlsonbusiness.com. And we will make sure you stay tuned because we have another badass episode on its way.
Thank you for listening to the Bad Girls on Business podcast. Don't forget to check the show notes for any links mentioned in this episode and for additional contact information about the guest or our hostesses. If this show got you going, we'd love to hear about it when you subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Can't get enough of the direct sales dom, the referral diva, or your mistress in business? The Bad Girls have hidden their gift for you at badgirlsonbusiness.com. When you find the Easter egg, use the password BGOB to unlock your treasure chest of goodies.